Okay guys, I've got a little bit of a part update. I was able to pick up for a good price a set of the Felpro Permatorque 26191 PT MLS gaskets. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this brand or the way it looks, but it's made real similar to like a Cometic. And it's got the ceiling, you know, rubberized, or I don't even know what they call this blue coating. But what's weird is if you go to their website, they absolutely do not recommend copper coating these gaskets before installation, which is kind of weird because I know I've seen and heard of a lot of people that do use the copper coat on all MLS gaskets. I'm wondering if that is something you do when you reuse gaskets. But I did see on both on their website and on a YouTube video where they say do not copper coat their MLS gaskets. Now, you know, you could argue the point that they want you to have to buy new ones every time you install head gaskets or pull your heads off, and they don't want you to reuse them like a lot of people do the Cometics. But then they have a lot of they make a lot of points when they talk about the issues with inconsistent coating when people copper coat, that the copper coat can actually get in between the multi-layers of the gasket where they don't want anything interfering with the way the layers come together, you know. So I mean, they do make some valid points, or let's say some logical points of interest when they give you the reasons why they don't want you to copper coat them. But basically I decided, rather than go through the headache of messing with that stupid eBay seller, that Ames Motorsport, I ended up talking to a friend of mine who had a good line on getting these MLS gaskets from Felpro. When you look at the information on the box, it'll tell you specifically that these are made for the 2002 to 2008 4.8 5.3 engines. So that was kind of a concern. Here's why. I found out that the 99 through, I'm going to assume it's early production 2001 LS engines came with the graphite head gaskets, and then in what they're referring to as the 2002 model years, they did the completely revised, updated version of the multi-layer steel, or the MLS gaskets, that everybody uses today. So after purchasing these 26191 PT gaskets, got home, was just kind of going to pull one out of the package because I wanted to see what it looked like. Ran into that little label that said 02 to 08, and I'm like, why would there be any difference? I don't get it. So here's some really interesting information. Found out online, there's actually a picture, and I'll try to insert it in this video if I can figure out how. The 99 through 01 cylinder heads, for some reason, have like a small square / rectangle cutout on the lower lip, or the lower edge of the cylinder head. You cannot run the MLS gaskets with that early model LS cylinder head because it'll leak coolant in the area of that little square cutout. Just by pure luck, I'm going to say happenstance, Victor Rain's MLS gaskets 54441, they are specifically engineered to be compatible with all LS cylinder heads, 99 all the way through either 2007 or 2008. So they like corrected the shortcomings of the regular MLS gasket with those Victor Reigns Mall gaskets. 54441 you can run with any of the LS cylinder heads all the way up to at least 07 or 08. So, you know, whenever I came across this whole scenario that these new Felpro gaskets may not be compatible, I was like, hold on a minute. Block that I'm using in the S10 Blazer is a 2000 Tahoe. The cylinder heads that I'm using for my 4.8 upgrades are from a 2002. The heads I'm working came off of that. You know, I bought that whole engine from Richard. So I just had those sitting over there on the shelf, and I was like, why would I wait to pull the heads off the Blazer to get started with the valve job and, you know, port cleanup on them? Why don't I just take those heads I've already got, which turns out to be a blessing, because being that that's a 2000 Tahoe engine, it should have those weird little square cutouts on the head requiring the graphite gaskets. All this kind of comes into play for me as an aha moment, because I'd actually heard from a friend of mine on the turbo forums that a couple of people had reported having issues with water leaks trying to use these Felpro 26191 gaskets. Maybe I'll get lucky on this deal, because I'm planning on having my 862s that are at the machine surface probably 10 thousandths, so I can get that chamber closer to 59 cc instead of 61. Just a point of information. Every 5 thousandths of an inch you mill off your cylinder head reduces your combustion chamber by about 1 cc. I'm hoping to get around 10-to-1 compression. The best that I can do without going to a custom head gasket or just milling the holy crap out of the cylinder head, requiring shorter push rods, which I didn't want to have to return and buy new, because I've already got brand new 7.4 push rods. It's about 9.8, and I'm talking about a real calculated 9.899 compression ratio. I'm trying to science this thing out as best I can and get an actual true compression, static compression, close to 10-to-1, which is hopefully going to work in conjunction with that small cam I'm putting in, and everything should work together, knock on wood, you know. Trying to think it through, think things out, but I just wanted to kind of update my headache scenario. I'm going to try to avoid that company on eBay for sure. And oh, I did pick up, Richard had come across a bunch of information on the forums about your cam gasket. Okay, it's really a misleading term, because your cam plate, your camshaft retaining plate, has a raised rubber, almost like O-ring seal on it. Okay, this is a factory GM, brand new, and then when you go to look it up at the parts store, you have to ask them for a camshaft gasket. And I guarantee you, the guy behind the counter is going to look at you like you got a third eye. But this little metal retaining plate with this little gasket, or this little raised rubber, a lot of people were reusing these during camshaft installation, and it's leaking oil. Because when you take that plate off, you're going to notice it's super flat. Like, it's extremely smashed flat. And then people are just putting them back on and hoping that they seal. Well, apparently there's several people that have reported that they were having lower oil pressure issues, and that plate was not sealing to the block like it should have. So for, I don't know, I think it was like 20 bucks or something, 15 or 20, I can't remember. And you can order them really cheap off of eBay if you want to gamble that route. But why not go ahead and replace that with a brand new one with a fresh seal so that you don't run into that issue whenever you do a cam swap. So that is my new parts haul as far as getting some new head gaskets, getting a new cam gasket, which is still weird to say. I also picked up, I'm gonna reposition the camera just so you can see this real quick. Sorry about that. I just wanted to kind of move the camera without making everybody get sick. I am doing a test of the emergency broadcast system. Okay, that was kind of corny, but basically I'm trying to get away from running my air compressor and wearing out my air compressor during porting. So what I'm gonna try to do is I purchased for $25 a flex shaft that has a chuck, or I don't know what, I always call it a chuck, but it's like a keyless chuck on the end that it will accept my 1/4-inch shank porting burrs. I want to see if I can hook up this flexible shaft to an electric die grinder motor with RPM adjustability via a router control box, which is kind of like a dimmer switch for a light in your house, where you can control how much power goes to the rotor, or I'm sorry, the die grinder motor, to kind of pull down some of the RPMs, because I think the die grinder that I have has like a 16,000 RPM speed on it, and this thing's, they recommend it up to maximum RPM up to 10,000 RPMs, but if you go to the NK website and look at it, it says it can do intermittent 15,000 RPMs, but you don't need to spin your cutting bits and burrs that fast anyway. So once you find like a good happy medium on an RPM where your bit's working efficiently, you could dial it in with the router control box. So we will cross our fingers and try to throw that together here soon. I'll probably do a special video on that. Magic of video. I just wanted to show you the die grinder motor that I'm going to try to use as my power source for the heavy duty flexible shaft. The issue with this type of die grinder, and why I needed the router control box to control the voltage to it, is it really has an on-off switch. It doesn't have a true potentiometer type trigger where you can control your RPM slow and fast. It literally goes from I'm off, full power, 14,500 max RPM there. So gonna have to slow that baby down and make it compatible. So that was my score I wanted to share with you guys. I am up and running, got replacement head gaskets, got my cam gasket. I'm just waiting on a phone call from the machine shop, which I should probably call them because it's been a couple of days beyond how long they said it would take. But generally that's the case when you deal with machine shops. So appreciate you guys watching. Hope you guys find this a little bit interesting. I hope you guys learn some information about cylinder heads, gaskets, and the different applications between the 99 and 2007 or 8. So like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell. Appreciate it, guys.